In the first two modules, we have been looking at planning our course, and now we're going to get to the point where we're actually starting to build our course content. And so what we're going to talk about in this PowerPoint is how to design your course content and build your course. One of the tools that you can use to help you organize your course structure is to build off of your learner's guide and do it in a storyboarding fashion. And a storyboard is really just a visual map that's just a visual sketch of how your course is organized and how they relate between each other. Why should you do a storyboard? It's going to provide you with just a complete view of what your course or site is comprised of. It's going to show you how different components link to each other, and it's going to show you any missing pieces you might have in there. And basically it's just going to help you organize and sequence your instructional materials. What I have done here is giving you an example of a couple of modules from a fictitious CIS 110 class. And you'll notice that those four buttons you see, course information, faculty information, course content, discussion boards, those are all pretty much the links in our that particular Blackboard course. And this just shows you the different items. So for example, we have under course information, you can find the syllabus and then an informational sheet on how the course works. You can actually, under course content, you have your Getting Started module. Module 1, and it talks about the lesson overview, the lecture, and that actually is information that I'm pulling from the learner's guide that you did in Module 2. So this is just a visual representation of your entire course. Now for the purposes of this class, it really is not in the time frame. I'm not going to expect you to do a storyboard for your entire course, but at a minimum you need to be doing the Getting Started and Module 1 and be thinking those through in its entirety. The second phase to this module is where you're going to start gathering your course content. And part of that is, if you've taught this course before face-to-face, I would start gathering all the documents, PowerPoints, any files, assignments that you would have if the course was face-to-face. What you're going to do is just kind of create a materials inventory list. And this is just a way of listing the actual file and the file format, and just think about how you can get that information to your students. What you're going to do is list each resource you have available and its current format. For example, if you have an outline of a particular unit and the name of that file is Unit 1 Outline, and it's done in Microsoft Word, and so you'd list those items. And you just make a list of those resources. Then the second thing you're going to do is think about how best to offer it online. Now, the biggest challenge you're going to have is that not all students are going to have the same software that you have. For example, you may have the latest version of Word, and you may have Word 2010, but one of your students may actually still be working on Word 2000. And so you need to ensure the best way to deliver these documents. For your Word files, what you should always do is convert them to a PDF. Later in this Blackboard module, I'll give you instructions on how to do that with Word. And if it's a PowerPoint, you want to offer the student both the PowerPoint file, and you can also save those with the new version of Office 2007. You can save those as a PDF, and so that's something that can ensure that all your students can open those files, whether they're on a Mac or Windows machine. And then finally, this is the hardest component you're going to have, and that's your actual lecture material. And you're going to need to start and think and brainstorm how best to modify your normal face-to-face instruction. PowerPoints, for example, with a voiceover like the one I'm doing right now, is one good choice. PowerPoints by themselves, though, are not a good substitute for a class lecture, so you need to kind of supplement it in some way if you're just giving a static PowerPoint. We have the ability to do screen capture, so you can demonstrate something on a computer. We can videotape an actual face-to-face lecture. So kind of brainstorm. The sky's the limit here, really, and I can help you with any of those more complicated technical components of your lectures. Document formatting we talked about just for a second ago. And like I said, this is one of the hurdles you're going to have. The biggest solution is a PDF file, and you may have seen these on the internet in multiple capacities, but basically it stands for Portable Document File, and the advantage is that it keeps your document looking identical to what it was when you created it, and it can be read with the Adobe PDF Reader. And so your students do not have to purchase any additional software to see your course materials. It also doesn't matter if it's on a Mac or a Windows machine, and that's actually a lot of your students are going to be working off of Macs, and so that's something you need to keep in mind if you're a Windows user. And in addition, if it's a large file, it can actually scale that down so it's not so large to download. So we'll actually be having a tutorial later on in this module on dealing with your portable how to create a PDF file. At this point, what you need to do is start gathering your materials, think about your lecture, and you're actually going to build this week your getting started and your Module 1 information. So go ahead and start working on that, and we'll talk about assessment in our next PowerPoint.